That's the main takeaway from him. But W video by Verse Creates. I like this one. He probably has a bunch more of these. Alright.
Life is good.
I'm here at Robert.
Let's see here. I was sent to a military school, now sued for abuse. Alright. Let's see what this is about. Aki's weird stories.
Land Academy, a military-style boarding school in southern Ontario. It was created almost 50 years ago to discipline troubled teenage boys.
Okay.
Now it's at the center of over 80 lawsuits that have been launched against the school
God
for
damn.
allegations of various forms of abuse. By the way, I used to go to this school.
Oh, okay. So this person abuse.
Robert Land Academy was a military-style boarding school that I was sent to when I was 14 for flunking the 9th grade. I skipped most of my classes that year to play World of Warcraft and watch anime.
Damn.
I arrived late to my first day at RLA. After a 2-hour drive from Toronto, we pulled into the school, which sat in the middle of nowhere in Wellandport, Ontario.
I know that boy was scared as
I was greeted by
hell.
a student and a staff member in fatigues. They calmly took my bag, saying that they'd return my belongings the next time I left campus, which ended up being months later.
Oof.
As soon as my parents left, they started to yell at me for being late. I was told to follow them while kicking my knees up to my chest.
Oh my
Next,
God.
my head was shaved, and they handed me a pair of coveralls. I was taken to a room with at least 50
damn.
boys facing the wall while staff and older students screamed.
Uh-oh.
Soon, they ordered me to do burpees until I was too exhausted and I just kind of collapsed.
Damn.
4 men stood over me shouting. The one who was screaming the loudest was a veteran of the Canadian Airborne Regiment, an elite unit disbanded for its actions in Somalia. To avoid a lawsuit,
Oh man. He's already bringing the facts on him. Oh shit.
be using the names of G.I. Joe characters for anyone who isn't a public figure. So I'll call the airborne guy CSM Duke. I was later told that CSM Duke said, "I smell a Somali," right before screaming in my face. He was no doubt referring to me as I was the
crazy.
only ethnically Somali person in the room that day, probably in the school's entire history. As he kept screaming at me, I felt a sudden urge to escape. When I tried to run towards the exit, Duke claimed that I swung at him. I didn't, but that didn't really matter.
Oh no, you still
The
got
4
him.
men around me, they tackled me, and
Oh,
it was the
damn.
first time that I was
You got
restrained
him.
at RLA. Over the next year and a half, I'd see many students tackled for the smallest of infractions. I was completely unaware
That's how
at
it
the
is in
time
the
that restraining
movies.
students as a disciplinary tactic was illegal. Before it recently shut down, Robert Land Academy was
Golly.
the only military-style boarding school in Canada. RLA had no affiliation with the Canadian military. It was a private school for troubled teens that was home to
Dang.
160
So that's why they could
boys
get
a
away
year,
with the things they
mostly
were
with
doing. That
learning
makes sense.
disabilities and behavioral disorders. RLA was founded by Scott Bowman, a former camp counselor who claimed to be a NATO spy that did top-secret missions for the IDF. In the mid-90s, his story was proven to be completely fabricated. But when I was a
okay.
student there, we had to call him Colonel Bowman and salute him anyway. Bowman believed that physical discipline and total control were the best ways to fix troubled teenage boys. But instead of helping boys, he just kind of created an environment that was ripe for abuse. Since opening its doors almost 50 years
Damn,
ago,
so they
the school
just
gained
were
notoriety for
getting
everything from hiring
killed
convicted
by
criminals to
people.
the deaths of 3 students. I was sent to Robert Land because I had a deep sense of apathy towards school. My life has always been ruled by single-minded obsessions. Right before I arrived at RLA, that obsession was World of Warcraft. I wanted an
Okay.
epic mount in World of Warcraft more than I wanted a driver's license. I didn't really care about anything else. Many RLA students
That's a lot
were
of
kids that
gamers
were
though. In general, that's a lot of young kid gamers. They don't care
trouble with the law.
about anything
Some were
besides the
sent by
game.
youth probation officers. So it was kind of a weird mix because while I was at home playing World of Warcraft, some of the kids in my barracks were jacking cars and selling hard drugs. I like to joke that I arrived there not knowing what ketamine was and left knowing how to traffic it internationally. Every morning at Robert
Yo,
Land, we
that's
woke up at
crazy.
6 a.m.,
What the
bright
hell?
lights suddenly flashed on and staff members screamed until we got out of bed. Our days revolved around academics, kid inspections, drill, and PT. We learned to shine combat boots and fold clothes to exact
A
measurements.
gamer
Staff
turned
used
into
rope
military associate. God damn.
rulers during kid inspection. So if your shirts weren't folded exactly 30 centimeters long, they'd tear your whole cubicle apart. I brought the same
Holy.
apathy that I had towards public school with me to RLA. So I stayed a recruit for my entire first year, which was pretty remarkable. I mean, most of the students in my recruit course were promoted to cadet within like 3 weeks. There were 3 ways to excel at the school: have perfect kit, be good at drill, and do well academically. Kids who did well were promoted. They were given medals as well as perks like dessert and Friday night movies.
That's good.
But none of those rewards really motivated me enough to try. So I was constantly punished for not getting with the program.
Damn.
I did so many push-ups
That's
that I
tough.
went from being able to do 0 to 100 in a month. One time for 2 weeks straight, I stood
100?
facing the wall
0
at
to 100
attention
in a
for
month?
14 hours a day,
Damn.
only getting breaks to use the washroom, eat outside, and sleep. I was always on labor detail as a punishment. So instead of going to class, I'd dig holes all day, or scrap ice off the lap track, or deep clean the mess hall.
Yeesh.
But honestly, being on labor meant that I didn't have to
That's
go to
tough.
class, and I kind of preferred it that way. You know, the human body adapts very quickly.
Okay,
especially
I
when
see
you're
what
14
you're
years
pointing
old.
to.
Eventually,
Can
nothing
adapt.
they threw at me felt very punishing. All of the exercise and physical labor, it became easier than breathing. But what really helped me at the time was my mindset. This is going to sound extremely dorky, but I used the punishments like a training arc. I saw it as a hyperbolic time chamber. I
Bro.
kept thinking about this one manga panel
Damn.
from Naruto, the one that's on screen right now, and I just kept thinking, yeah, that's me. When I was at RLA, exercise became my new single-minded obsession. I was being physically
That's
punished all
funny.
day, but still doing push-ups and dips in my cubicle before bed. So my first year at RLA wasn't actually that bad. It was my second year. That second year broke me. But before I say how that happened,
Okay.
I want to tell you more about CSM Duke.
Okay.
Duke was the company sergeant major of B Company, which was my company. He was respected because he was a paratrooper. Duke walked with a limp from low-altitude helicopter jumps.
Okay.
He'd wake us up an hour early for runs, leading the pack while
Oh,
hobbling
no.
on wrecked knees. He'd run like 30 kilometers on messed up knees, but he'd still be lapping kids. It was incredible.
Yeah.
Honestly, I have mixed feelings about him.
That,
Yes,
that military, some of those military dudes, they have the most messed up body, but they gonna fight tooth and nail for every single thing. It don't even matter what it is. Like, one thing you can definitely respect about them, they gonna fight tooth and nail for every goddamn thing.
he was a bully, but he was also undeniably charismatic. In 1992, Duke's airborne unit deployed to Somalia at the beginning of the Somali Civil War
Okay.
for a peacekeeping mission. Their job was to escort aid convoys, clear mines, rebuild infrastructure, and maintain order. One night, a
made
Somali
one tribe
teenager
do
was
that?
found hiding near their base. They assumed that he was trying to
What's up,
steal their
next one?
rations. Then 3 members of the Canadian Airborne Regiment tortured and sodomized him.
Oh my
By morning,
God.
he was dead.
That is crazy. Jeez, yeah, I'm reacting to this because I can't play Apex, bro. Apex servers are down. Yeah, I'm watching this.
At least 100 members of the unit heard the teenager's cries for help, but did nothing to stop him. A journalist happened to be on base. He
Yeah.
wrote an article exposing the incident, which eventually led to the unit being disbanded.
Hold on, I want to look at. Hold up.
He wrote an article.
The Somalia affair was a 1990 military scandal prompted by beating to death of Shadan Aaron, a Somali teenager, at the hands of 2 Canadian peacekeepers participating. That is disgusting. How are you going to be sent on a military mission and then you're going to terrorize the people? That's sad.
Exposing the incident,
Damn.
which eventually led to the unit being disbanded. So I tell that story because 15 years later, as my CSM at RLA,
Okay.
Duke openly bragged about how his airborne unit was disbanded for torture. He told stories
That's
about
sad.
shooting at waves of Somalis and
Military people are
saying
always
in front of
abuse their
everybody stuff
power,
like,
bro.
"Your parents are from the armpit of the world." While working on this video, I made a Facebook account to reconnect with people from the school, and I had multiple people tell me without being prompted that, "Oh yeah, one of my core memories is remembering Duke being insanely racist towards you."
Damn.
One day he showed everybody
Wow.
the movie Black Hawk Down. So there's a slur in that movie that the U.S. Special Forces use for Somalis, and it's skinny. And that quickly became my nickname, which honestly I wasn't even
Skinny?
that bothered by. I kind of liked having a nickname. So I tried to claim
He
the
turned
nickname
into
as my own,
positive.
basically. And I started writing it in a notebook in a graffiti style that one of my friends was teaching. And the school punished me with labor. Then they gave me an essay to read
Yo.
about the glorious Somali people,
glorious Somali
which they had me write a report on. So the irony was pretty rich. They showed the movie, everybody started calling me a slur from it. I tried to reclaim it, and I was punished for it.
That's literally the idea of the word nigga. They started calling us something. We reclaimed it, and then now they're mad they can't say it.
Base 44
That's funny. That's literally the.
No setup.
You could put that analogy with nigga.
Next part sounds really
Okay.
made up, but I promise it's true. So midway through my first year, CSM Duke threw a flashbang into another staff member's office as a joke. The staff member allegedly suffered temporary hearing loss.
Huh? He said skinny, yeah? Yeah. That's crazy. Throwing a flashbang into the office is crazy. Low-key a weird slur. Yeah, but like they called him skinny because like typically a lot of people like East African, but in his case Somali people, like we're just like a lot of us are just like, you see a typical East African, if it's Ethiopian, Somali, Kenyan, Tanzania, like we're just skinnier people, you know, because it's just like this is kind of how our bodies are. Not all of us are. Some are strong. Not everyone's the same way, but like that's what he's trying to refer to us as.
Taken to the hospital. Duke was fired shortly after that, and I didn't see him again until I made a Facebook account for this project. When I saw him, I messaged him and I asked him,
Wow,
"Hey,
nobody could have predicted he was a MAGA. Nobody could have predicted he was a MAGA, man." Yeah.
were you really fired for throwing a flashbang?" And to my surprise, he replied the next day, "Yes, but I was quitting anyway, and I was sick of him bullying the boys." Quite the explosion.
Took a
Tough
shit
guy
pants.
shit his pants. How you doing, young man? Staying safe listening to Nick Fuentes?
That's
Crying,
kind of
laughing emoji.
crazy.
I told him that I was making a video about the school, and he said, "Make sure to include the legend, CSM Duke." He offered to do an interview, but then he stopped responding to
Damn.
my messages.
Damn, you got ghosted.
This video is sponsored by Raycon. I've been running a lot lately, and I have this terrible
Paying
habit of
bills.
destroying
You gotta
earbuds.
guys paying
They
bills.
fall out and die fast
Alright,
or just
there you go.
disappear. But a few months ago,
After being at RLA
Bro
for
did
a
not
year
want
and
an interview. He's like, nah, I'm good.
a half, the school decided that
Yeah.
I was performing so poorly that they put me on a special program. Part of the special program was a bland meal diet. So every day for
Bland
about
meal
2 months,
diet.
breakfast was a slice of bread with a boiled egg. For lunch, canned tuna, a slice of bread and an apple.
Huh?
For dinner, dried noodles with boiled chicken and no seasoning. We ate
Oh
every
my
meal outside
God,
while standing
bro.
up. If we didn't
I don't even like boiled eggs, let alone eating boiled egg with a slice of bread. Hell no. Hell no. We are not doing that, my friend.
finish
It's
every
not.
meal,
That's why they're trying to like they're trying to break down his whole
At an even
mentality,
colder
bro.
temperature The next meal. Every day after lunch, we did a 15. A 15 was 45 minutes of nonstop PT, which is physical training.
God damn.
It was basically high intensity interval
Okay.
training. So 100 burpees, followed by 100 jumping jacks, followed by 100 mountain climbers, and then a 400-meter sprint. And then it was like, get to the ground, roll,
Okay,
roll.
damn,
And
that
the whole
sounds
point
like
is to make you puke
typical
tuna.
military training.
So they'll feed you and then just make you do this in a circuit for 45 minutes straight. I was probably burning like 5,000 calories a day through exercise and
And they're gonna call him skinny
while
after
eating
that.
maybe 1,000 calories a day. The food was so unappetizing, repetitive, and cold that I didn't want to eat it, even though I was starving.
Damn.
After a month and a half of that, I was more mentally and physically exhausted than I've ever been in my entire
Mm-hmm.
life. As an adult, I now know that it was because I was burning too many calories without eating enough food. I remember being like just
Only the Apple
completely
gang. They were giving him nothing. This video is about Robert Land Academy. I don't know if you've ever heard of it, Netspin. It's from your parts of the world. Not your exact place, but like your
exhausted.
parts of the
And I
world,
was
if
sitting
you know
in
what
a
I
washroom
mean.
stall in a mess
Oh,
hall
okay.
with the toilet seat down. And
It's
I just
in- it's
didn't
in
want to
Canada.
move from that position at all. Then a guy named Sean McCarthy, he was a kid who arrived at the school the same day that
Hmm.
I did. He handed me a raisin scone from underneath the stall. He had taken it from the mess hall and wrapped it in a napkin for me. You see, McCarthy wasn't on the special program. So his meals were normal.
Oh, okay.
The meals that everybody else got.
Under
which
the stall.
admittedly were pretty good. The thing that sticks with me about that story is I didn't say anything to him about how drained I was feeling.
Okay.
He just saw what was happening.
Okay, I
and
thought he was saying under the stall, like under the. Okay, W meant. Now I get what he
enough to do
means.
that for me. That was
Yeah,
16
okay,
years
that
ago,
makes
and I still
sense.
remember the taste of that scone. It was the best thing I've ever eaten in my entire life. I haven't spoken to Sean
Damn.
McCarthy in over a decade.
That's
but,
cool.
Hey, man, if you're out there, I'll never forget that act of kindness.
That's what's up.
And I still truly appreciate it.
Bro, why do they always have that one scene in like military movies or war movies with like someone on the other side or someone like with the protagonist is like just helping them out? Like it's like the shining moment where everything gets better. Like a whole leading up to the movie, it's bad, and then when that one scene happens, everything else gets better, or like the story the outlook of the story looks better. That was his
During
moment.
the special
That
program,
was his
I started
moment.
thinking about going AWOL. Legally, the school had to let us go home for 2 weeks during the Christmas stand-down. So I decided as soon as I got home, I wouldn't go back. I'd run away from home and not go back. A friend said that I could stay at his mom's place, but that fell through. So I ended up sleeping in a church and then couch surfed for a few days until I gave up and took the bus home.
Damn.
When I got back home, I hid under my bed because I didn't want to go back to the school. And I'm not sure how, but my mom found me.
Oh,
she said that she
no.
kind of just sensed my presence.
She sensed my
I told her that I
presence.
refused to go back to RLA. I didn't even really fully articulate why. Instead, I just kept repeating that I'm not going back.
Damn.
A little while later, my parents tried to trick me into going back to the school, saying that we were driving to Niagara
Oh
Falls.
no,
By
they
the
try
time
to
I
catch
realized what
him
was
going back. That's like we're going to Africa. We're going to Africa and then they're gonna leave you there and then come back home. That would be insane. I'm glad he caught
We were
on.
only 15 minutes away from the campus. I yelled until my mom pulled over. Then I opened the car door and sprinted away. I'm not sure when they got there, but a police cruiser followed me and cornered me in a ditch.
Damn.
The cops tried to calm me down. One of the cops talked about how he almost cried while watching the school's annual parade because of how much the boys had turned their lives
Damn.
around. Eerily, a year later, another RLA student died when his parents tried to drive him back to the school, and he jumped out of the car to run away, just like I
No.
did. Next thing I knew, I was in the school's administration
That's
building.
insane.
I sat in a chair and refused to get up as staff members
You died because you didn't want to go back to the school. That's how bad this school.
tried to convince
No, it definitely should have been a wake-up call for the people. I realized that. It's definitely a wake-up call, but school was that bad that somebody didn't want to go. School's supposed to be a place, like a safe haven for people. And he's like, nah, I'm going out.
me to follow them back to the barracks. Eventually, the staff members realized that I wouldn't go with them, so my parents just took me back home. I
That's
didn't know
good.
this at the time, but since I just turned 16 years old, they actually couldn't force me to stay there. I should add that I
Damn.
don't blame my parents for trying to take me back to RLA. They just thought it was the best thing for me. And when I wanted to leave, I didn't really articulate why I was miserable. I just kept saying I don't want to go back.
Yeah, I can
After I
understand
went back
that.
home, I just ended up going back to RLA after 2 months. After only a month back at RLA, I got in a fight with another
no.
student, and I was kicked out of the school. Thinking back,
Oh,
they
they
were
cooked
looking
him?
for any reason to get rid of me. I mean,
They
students
kicked
were
him up?
stabbing each other at RLA. There were fights every
Oh,
day,
my.
blanket parties. No one got
What-
kicked out of
what
the
kind
school
of party?
for fighting. There were fights every day, blanket parties.
Blanket parties? What does blanket parties mean? What does that mean? I don't know what that term means. I might have to search that up. What is blanketed part? It's like hazing? Oh, okay. Now I get that means, okay.
No one got kicked out of the school for fighting except for me. Now here's a strange part of the story. When they brought us into
It
Bowman's
was
office
definitely...
to have a meeting about
I like how the whole time he's avoided this issue, but it was definitely because he was black. I like how he's framed the video. He's gone so long without referencing like he's a black kid. Like he says he's Somali, but he doesn't use the term black when he's in a group of white people. But for military, so like low, like up a level. Okay, yeah.
He said, "What happens when I tell the boy's parents that a black Muslim hit their son?" I honestly still have no clue why he said that.
Okay, that's the first. I like how I
Got
say
into
that,
a
and then
fight
that's the
with
first
was
thing he
white,
mentions
but
afterwards.
It was just such a bizarre statement. I remember everybody in the room just kind of going silent and being stunned. Like, did you just say that? Why? So anyway, that's how I got kicked out of Robert Land
Okay.
Academy. And as soon as I got back home, it wasn't long before I started playing World of Warcraft again. Needless to say, I mean, I don't really think that school was very effective.
Yeah.
In my entire time at RLA, I never spoke to a single psychologist or a counselor because there weren't any.
Damn.
I recall that there was one kid who punched through plexiglass out of frustration, and he sliced his arm open and had to be.
Oh my god! Oh, bro! I've seen a scene like that in a movie, bro. Oh no! I can feel that myself. But like that is kind of crazy how they didn't have rehabilitation for them and on a mental level. That's the problem with some of these kids like that try to get sent to military schools, boarding schools or whatever. It's a mentality thing that they need help with. Cuz they're young people growing up to be older people. If you don't stop the issue early on or help them early on as they get older, help them understand things and realize things, it's just gonna become worse, and then people are gonna criticize them. Why do you do this up to this point? Like, there was a process on how people got to the point they were. That's the problem, and that's what this school obviously didn't have.
Over the smallest things. He clearly needed someone to talk to, but there was never a counselor who asked him what was wrong. The school just kept physically punishing him.
I heard of this. I
as if
forgot
that
the name. I'm pretty sure the guy that made it was found to be lying about his military status. Yeah, it was.
Change anything. It was such an archaic system. I mean, even prisons have counselors. RLA was incorporated under the name the Creative Center for Learning Disabilities. In early marketing,
crazy.
Bowman told newspapers, "We take the kids other people have given up on." But in practice, RLA rejected the notion that learning and behavioral disorders actually existed.
Insane.
To them, every issue was a character flaw that could be...
I don't know how they let things like this slip by for so
Robert
long.
Land Academy announced that it was closing for good in April 2025. The school said that they were shutting their doors because of a decline in enrollment. The announcement came after millions of dollars in lawsuits. Recently, I returned to the school for the first time in 15 years.
Look at him outside
RLA
just
still
chilling.
stands almost identically to how I remember it. A fresh pile of snow and bone-chilling wind that cuts through your jacket.
Oh
The
my.
barracks, the school building, the parade square.
That looks like a
mess hall,
sweatshop. That looks like a sweatshop right there. This when they say sweatshop, this is a sweatshop.
the same. The only thing that looked different
Starts
to
with
me
the grade
was the lap
5.
track.
Starts with grade 5.
remembered
The
it
class
being
was
bigger.
disgusting. Yeah, that's
This
nasty.
was Med? I thought Meds was in there. Med wasn't there once kids started cheeking it, remember? They started.
Oh my.
This is Joseph Bardsley. He was my IC, meaning he was my in charge during my first month at the school.
Okay.
His job was to help me adjust to life there.
So what is this?
Facing the wall.
Bro, it's
We
basically
do
all.
this 14 hours a day.
Yeah, dog.
No, 14 hours a day.
Yo,
Bro, as long as you're in trouble, that's what you do.
that's
It brings back memories, huh?
Yeah, it feels bittersweet. Like, I feel a sense of sickness and sadness, but I also
Damn.
feel like I romanticize the place. Like I said before. I think
it
there's
just.
an old me that wants to love it. And
I
wants
feel like even in traumatic, I think if you asked traumatic people, whatever situation they went through, there's a part of them that still connects with them, and that's why the situation is low-key part traumatic. Cause they smile about it now, but when they were in the moment, they didn't feel that way, you know. So, and that's why it's so important sometimes when people like realize with kids, like it's not about what situation, it's not about like how and what you say to them is the problem when you're dealing with kids. It's about the connection that they're gonna have in the future because they only can rely on their past history. That tug of war, that mental battle, them connecting with the place that they were. Every human has it. Wherever you've been, and like that's a place you spent some significant time or something significant happened, you're gonna have some connection towards it, and that's what he's talking about right here.
to think that it was good for me, but I think I was just a kid. And now that I'm older, I'm like, it's justifying the abuse. What's happened here?
Revisiting the campus gave me one of the deepest hits of nostalgia I've ever felt. That place shaped who I am today, just not in the way it promised my parents. Before we left,
Disappointed
Bartley suggested that
parents.
we run the lap
The
track
people who
one last
sent them
time.
there.
So we ran one final lap around a place that shouldn't exist.
Keep on going, Brody. Keep on going.
Thanks for watching, and until next time.
That's all you need to know.
Oh my.
You see this parade square here? I was never allowed to walk on this parade square. Where you were only allowed to walk around it. And if you walked on the parade square, you better be doing drill. But you can never casually do this.
He's whacking on it casually.
We did it. We broke the rule of the school.
I love the sarcasm he's moving with this. Look, they're like so scared, man.
Right? You're never supposed to do this.
No smear.
What happens if you stepped on the parade square?
I think it was five laps immediately.
5 laps.
I remember it like yesterday.
I love this
I
video.
remember this place more than I remember.
Anything else?
Oh my.
Yeah, as a kid for sure. This is all I really remember.
Damn.
Yeah. Just this
He
place.
hated that
Good
damn
memories and bad
school.
memories.
Right.
That is tough.
It's like a do not disturb.
Oh man, I want to go back to this video. Bro, that was a great video. He has 630k subscribers, bro. I want to look at his channel a little bit. Oh, he only has 39 videos. Okay, when was his last video? Oh, 4 weeks ago. The worst military school in Canada. Oh, he even did a deeper dive? Bro, I might have to watch this, bro, at some point. That's crazy. So this basically has a part 1 to part 2. That's insane. Nah, I have to. Nah, he earned the subscribe from me now. They should make a movie about that. Aki's weird stories.